Hello all, welcome back to Herlefeld. I think this is our 6th episode. We've done a little off cam. As you can see, we have continued harvesting here. I have most of the fields done, kind of in this upper, let's see what that be, the northeast quadrant. So there was a barley field over here, some wheat over here, some wheat there. There's one more wheat field, and then I think we'll be hopping across the Audubon to do some harvesting over there. And also there's a grass field. Let me see here. I think it's this one right across the way where we have some, we have it windrowed and ready to go, ready to be picked up. I want to explore a little at the BGA. For the moment, I think we will continue harvesting the wheat. Now, my combine is kind of pointed at a funny angle. Probably a product of coming off the save. Let me see here. Will it remember? No, it does not. Alright, let me try that again. I think it'll remember the direction that we're going. So, oops, I gotta see which direction I gotta go. Here we go. Overlooking the field. You know, I gotta say, I've made a couple tweaks in here to some of the distance textures, and I wish, there are combine stops. You see how all of the windrows are cut off right here in the field of vision. I don't know, that goes out maybe 100 meters. I wish they would continue. You could see the yellow stripe of the straw, and I can't figure out why it's doing it some places, but not others. You see in this field, way over here, you can see some of the windrows. You see it in this field over here, and I know in the barley field beyond. I wish I knew what exactly was causing that, but I don't. So, let me zoom it out here just a little bit. Oop. Yeah, then when you get up high like this, it's just, the dreaded viewing circle plays kind of with your ability to suspend reality. Oh, I just saw some cars zoom by. The Audubon continues its busy march. Yeah, there's another grass field right over in this area. There's a pile of work if a person really wanted to do it. And, I'm going to be kind of curious, too, to see if these grass fields replenish themselves. Let me head to, here's this one here. See, we cut this, or somebody did, and you see the stubble, if you will, of the grass. You see it sitting in the windrow. And we also we didn't cut it. We windrowed it up here. So, and we got these pesky bales. They just roll. So, there's corn over here to harvest. Yeah, there's plenty to do. But maybe while we're waiting on our combine here, alright, this is kind of where we are relative to it. And I think, did I turn on my, oh, dang it, nope, I didn't. Thought I had. There we go. Yeah, there's a sound I hope to hear. So we'll start picking some of this up, and I believe this is something we can take to the BGA. And I'm kind of excited to try it. I've never before used the BGA that was in mod form. I've only ever used the one that the Giants have, that they created as part of a DLC for Farming Simulator 11 back in the day, and of course they've kept it through all the subsequent versions of the game. But Farming Sim 11 is, where it first appeared. So prior to And even in Farming Sim 11, it was a DLC, a special downloadable content. You had to pay extra, I think it was a platinum version or whatever it was, in order to get it. So it didn't even come out, you know, with the regular game. Looks like there'd be a few pieces to pick up in the field up there. That's another conundrum I can't figure out. Why, you know, when you tether and then try to windrow some of this, why it changes, you know, the tethered part to act to just regular windrow. I don't even know if this field, I look at how much I have, 14%. Hey, yeah, it's gonna, I don't even know if I'll be able to fill up the trailer, you know, with this particular field here. But I'm excited to take it over there, and when we do get there, I think I'll step out a game just briefly so we can see it's kind of ingenious what the modder did in creating another mod for the BGA if the player wanted it, and you know, when it's in there, it removes something that comes in the base map and replaces it with a BGA. Oop, I'm kind of driving crooked. So it's pretty cool how he had that set up. Alright, Combine, how's it going? Hopefully he's doing what he needs to. 23%. It's gonna be pain trying to fill this up, but oops, hopefully I can get by that bale. But I don't know how much it takes to fill up the BGA. Whoops, there's a combine. Number 3. Oops, that is the one I want. I want the tractor and the trailer, tandem tipper. Number 6, and unfortunately, I probably have to drive over the crop. You know what that reminds me? Maybe someone knows and they can put it in the comments. I do remember a mod for Farming Sim 11 from years ago that I don't think it was a particular tractor per se, but I think it caused crop damage when you would drive over it, and I haven't ever been able to locate it ever since. And if somebody knows what that was, I probably just need to search a bit more to try to go find it. You know, I also learned something else. See that little speck? I think that's a bottle. I'm gonna hop out here. Let me go grab it. Tink. One bottle. Come to find out, and this is something I'd forgotten about the game. Let's see, let me go back to number 4. Bale loader 2. Was it number 2? No, not that. Oh, maybe it's number 5. Here we go. But come to find out, the picking up of bottles makes a difference on what you're able to collect when you sell equipment, and maybe it also impacts the price you pay when you're buying new equipment. So, you know, I don't know. I come to Farming Simulator to farm, and I don't particularly care to collect bottles. I think I did it once in the original version, you know, where I found all the bottles on the map. Well, I say I found them. I really didn't. There was a mod out there that would locate all the bottles and would point you to them, or the closest one, and you could go pick them up. So, well, once, I guess I'll do anything once, I found them all, picked them all up, but I didn't realize the impact that it was having, in how it impacted my reputation, I guess it is, that would allow greater sales dollars when I would sell a piece of equipment. I'm not sure that it impacts the purchase, makes it cheaper or whatever. But when you sell a tractor or anything, instead of getting half, I think that's how it's set up, you only get 50% of the original price. Now when you sell it, you can get up to 85%, I think, if you collect all the bottles. And maybe part of the reason, I've never particularly felt a need, or where it hasn't popped out to me, is I tend to be a minimalist in the amount of machines and equipment that I have. This one here, actually the original version, you were set up with even more equipment. I seem to think it was 3 combines, maybe. And so now I have just the one. So, once I have a machine, I tend to keep it and not sell it anyhow. So, and plus, if you're only going to get 85%, I mean, I don't know. Big deal. Usually by the time you're trying to dispose of something, if you have to, is to get something newer, bigger, and better. And usually by then you have plenty of money. You don't even need, that extra 85%. So, maybe everybody listening already knew that. I kind of didn't. So, and I'm seeing something here with the bales as I watch them roll. Come to find out, these pesky fence posts on this particular map, every single one of them will stop you cold. When you're driving near them, if I were to try to take a tractor to them, it would... Oh, there are combines full again. But in between the fence posts, it's wide open, so that's actually kind of handy. Let me go back out to the field. Here's my tipper. So that helps a little, if you're trying to get through a fence, get stuck on it or whatever. I think I mentioned that last time. Probably if it was me, I would just remove the... Especially with my style of play. If you're inside the tractor and this is how you play, maybe you can see objects like fence posts easier, and so you can avoid them. Oop, I'm full. But when you play outside of it, I kind of like seeing the scenery, so I tend to be out here, and it's a lot harder to see those objects, that you'd run into. Plus, I mean, there's a lot of, like this tree right here, I'm pretty sure I can drive. See, you can drive right through, maybe the pole even. So a part of me wonders why the fence posts have all the collisions on them. Yet collisions were removed from many of the trees, not all of them, but many of them. But anyway, that was just choices an app author made. So up the lane will come. Actually, we're accumulating quite a bit. Let me see how much we have. Yeah, we took all of our wheat, all of our barley. It's in storage here. I've just kind of been lazy, hauling it here. Got kind of to the, home base area, if you will. Probably should have just continued to take it down and sell it. There we go. Now we'll see it pooch through the roof. Yeah, there it is. We have an amazing roof on our barn. Reconstitutes itself. Alright, combine stopped again. We'll grab a little fuel while we're there. Head on back. We got some equipment sitting in the weeds, just like a real farm. Down the lane. I almost feel like this trailer is too small for this tractor. It doesn't seem to track behind it very well. I don't know if it's... maybe it's just an optical illusion, I don't know. Anyway, back out to the field we'll go. Actually, the combine probably stopped because we're done with the field, so we're close to it. Do we have any... Oh, we do have a little strip kind of along there. And I know... Oh, he kind of quit right in the power pole. So... Alright, let me hop to the combine here. Get him emptied off. Out of juice anyhow. And hopefully nobody will watch. Russell, this would be for you. I know he has said he appreciates when obstacles that are in the middle of the field, you know, where one player can, kind of like I'm doing right here, it's kind of in the middle of my header. If you want, you could drive right through it. And let me get this little dab kind of here on the other side. Oh, put the windrow right in the middle. Stretch that baby out. Russell will try to take care of that a little bit. I know it was bugging him that I was missing stuff on the edge of the field. So I think I have just a wee bit more up here. Oh, I don't know where that came from. This is going to be a bear to... Yeah, I got to come in here and bail all this up or do something with it. I kind of think we had to bail it back in Farm Sim 11, as I recall. So, let me see here. I'm just going to put my pipe out. Let's turn this puppy off. And we'll... Oops. Nope, that's the wrong one. I wanted this one. We'll go get the rest of the wheat. And then, like I say, I want to do some grass work. And kind of like I was mentioning at the get-go, I'm really curious to see if all the grass regrows. You know, it's... And, oh, they were already done. Like, see this grass here? I know Farm Sim 09 was... you know, once you cut the grass, I think you maybe had to have a special mod before it would just regrow on its own. Not sure why it was that way, but in Farm Sim 11, of course, we had grass that would regrow. But I'm not sure that works in all cases. Let me show you what I meant earlier. See if I'm real careful. Let me turn it off. I could sneak through kind of like this. So this is kind of cheating. So I shouldn't, there's no way we'd be able to do that in a standard barbed wire fence or whatever they have in between. Actually, can you see anything at all? Oh yeah, you can see the barbed wire. So it's as if these are used as pastures kind of in the off season. So yeah, I just wanted to show. Sometimes that's done, but like I say, if you tangle with a fence post like this right here, boom, it'll stop you up cold. So it's actually saved my bacon a couple times, you know, and being able to extricate myself from the fence. Alright, let's go pick up this field. I think this is the only... Baldard Ash, this thing is... They just have a way, the collisions... Yeah, that's kind of what I was alluding to earlier. I don't even know if I finished the thought. I just ramble so much in here. But when you play in the style that I do, where you're out of cab most of the time... You know, here it isn't so bad. You can see all these posts, but they get pretty hard, or a lot harder to see when there's other obstacles, you know, like trees. So they just have this curious way of reaching out and grabbing your tractor right as you're coming through, minding your own beeswax. It's just what they do. It'd be really cool. You know, some of the ability to do this we didn't have until Farm Sim 22, maybe? Farm Sim 19, I can't remember if we had it. Where you could have movable pastures or additional pastures where you could put your animals in places. And I heard here the other day that someone was working on a mod. Russell, you'll appreciate this, to herd the animals, some kind of a mod. I don't know if it's a dog or, yeah, I just don't know where it is, but someone was working on it where you could visually see the animals walk somewhere else. If you wanted to move them between a couple different pastures or whatever, you could have the ability to do that. Back here in Farm Sim 11, there is a designated area. This is how it was for, Farm Sim 15, 17, 13, 19, I think. You had designated areas for the various animals that were offered. And of course, each version, they kept adding animals. But you had one area, and that was it. And maybe finally was it 19 where we got the horses? I think the horses could be ridden everywhere, versus having them in a pasture. But even they probably had a designated pasture, when you weren't riding them or what have you. Yeah, I know I'm cheating here, kind of sneaking between the posts, but I'm trying to pick up every bit of grass, because if you don't, it just stays there. And oops, how full? Oh my goodness, 65%. Well, that's probably the other. Oh shoot, that's the other problem I have here. This thing is so big, it takes forever and a day to fill up. So, but that's efficient. Who am I to complain? And I can see, you see the remnants. We did all these bales. You can't see them. There's kind of one lurking in the shadows. Here's another that fell out of the field. There's not even that many bales. Wouldn't you think that, of course, each bale is 6,000 liters. I don't know. I guess I just would have thought that a field up here like this would have had way more bales, than the half dozen or so that we got out of there. And I'm reminded of something too. It seems like, well, maybe that's a bale up here. It seems like we should be able to see them. And I kind of think that there was a glitch. I may need to try to change the clip distances on those bales so we can see them. But anywho, let me quit yakking and keep going here. Try to get all the grass picked up. And you see the same problem I was mentioning earlier with the distance textures. Even on these windrows, there just is a point, where they're cut off. You see the same effect in the straw windrows, kind of up above in the wheat field. Just one of those limitations of the game, I guess. And I don't know how it's been for others, but I know on my computer it's kind of interesting. Farm Sim 11 is one of the hardest, at least from my computer, to render. I don't know what it is about Farm Sim 11, but I have much less trouble running every other version of the game, including Farm Sim 09. But Farm Sim 11, there's something there. I don't have a very strong computer as it is. But let me see what my FPS is. Oh, this isn't so bad. 60 right here. Yeah, I've had much worse. Oh, yammers, I'm running out of gas. That's the other problem. I still have those mods in here that, yeah, when you get over, over 10,000 liters, you start slurping gas, just guzzling it. So, yeah, I'm not really helping myself. But I'm gonna have to. I may need to take a quick trip to the farm. I'm trying to think. Did I get? I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to do a little search here. Let me get myself turned around. All right, let me see here real quick. Comments, trailers. Do I have a fuel trailer? No, I don't. Do I have the modded trailer? There was one. Is this what I have? No, that ain't it. You know something? I think I'm gonna need this BGA roller. So yeah, I'm gonna have some incentive to be selling some crop because I need a roller to compress the stuff as soon as I get over there. Anyway, what was I looking for? Oh yes. So one other trailer in here that I like that's an awesome mod. Here, TSL service. Nope, I don't have one. Tell you what, I'm gonna buy one because, alright, let me just take a quick trip to, I don't have much fuel left. Alright, we'll play this straight. Most of these fields, they only have a single entrance and it's hard to tell where it is. Again, playing the way that I do. Now, down here at this level, you can obviously see where the wires are, but I generally don't play in cab. So at this level, it looks like there's nothing in between all those. So, anywho, I'm going to head over to the store because the store now has the trailer that will have fuel. I could go back to the main farm area, but I figured I would shortcut it by just going to the store. Yeah, and since I'm not pulling the trailer, it isn't taking near as much fuel. So, now let me see here. Where's the store? Oh, I think the store, there it is. I could drive straight out of the field, frankly. But we'll do this by the book. I'll come up here and come out the entrance. Ah, that's where I take the bottles, by the way. I see that now. Here's a trailer. Good old TSL trailer. I really like it because it has fuel, it has fertilizer, it has spray. It even has a pressure washer, you know, if you want to wash your equipment. That wasn't something very common in Farm Sim 11, but there were a few mods that had it in there. It's just amazing. You know, when you look at the history of the game, actually, this is an amazing trailer because I can keep fueling even as I pull ahead here. Actually, you know what? Let me, I can just get out of here now. That's one other little glitch I discovered is you can start the fueling process, but you don't have to stick around. It'll finish on its own. Not realistic, but it is what it is. And this this trip that I'm going to be taking is probably going to take the whole, well, you know what, I'm not even going to be able to do it this time because we're almost out of time and I still don't have the trailer all the way full. So, yeah. You know, I think I'll just sneak in here. We'll pretend there was a gate there. And yeah, like I was saying, I am really curious to see if all this grass will actually regrow and see if we can come through again and cut her again. Or maybe we'll rip it out and do some other arable farming on it. But we're almost out of time here on this episode. I was hoping I could get the trailer full, and turns out I probably by the time the alarm goes, like we're used to hearing. I'll be just getting it full, so I may wait to take it over to the BGA until the next episode, because I'd like to show again. It's really cool how the modder set it up, in the map. So you may recall from an earlier episode, if you don't want a BGA, the map has as default, has as its default a lumber company of some kind. Of course, this is long before we could cut the trees in game. Although I've kind of been considering some ideas on that and wonder if that's something I could fiddle with in this particular series. I did it in Feldy, where I put some logs around the map and could pick them up, haul them to a barge to haul them off. Here, well, the trouble is I'd have to figure out a different way to dispose of the logs, but I don't know, we could figure out something. But what I'd like to do, because I've seen a mod for it, is in the 09 version, some enterprising person came up with a chainsaw, and I've wondered how hard it is to adapt over to 11. And we have lots of trees in here. At least the fir trees, I was thinking could be cuttable. Some of these, the collisions aren't even on the trees, so I don't know that we'd be able to cut them down, but I don't know. I was kind of thinking maybe we could figure out how to harvest trees, which would be kind of cool for ArmSim 11. Anyway, we are rapidly running out of fuel. We're almost full with this particular trailer, and we're already out of time. So I think here I'm going to get her full, just a little bit more. There we go. Well, thank you so much for coming along. We have a full trailer of grass. We still got a little bit more to pick up in this field. We're farming away here on Herlefeld. Hope you all are enjoying your day, and I will look forward to seeing you on the next one. Goodbye.